You talk about trade being front and center, but of course the issue right now is President Trump himself didn't turn up at a time when trade is front and center, and the region wants some clarity and commitment from him. What do you make of his absence? Was it a mistake?
Oh, look, ultimately leaders make a call around their presence at the various and different forums that are available at any given time. I think having the presence of the Vice President also incredibly important, and leaders will be making the most of that contact and that opportunity to have a conversation around, the importance of ASEAN, the success of ASEAN, but also some of the ambition as well. For instance, the RCEP trade agreement, which is something that's been a hot topic of conversation for all of us.
Speaking of the Vice President, you were seated next to him at dinner at his request. What did you discuss?
Oh, totally self-interested. I use every opportunity I can to promote the benefits of free trade, particularly from a country like New Zealand's perspective. We're a trading nation. We're geographically isolated but heavily linked to the world through our trading ties. And for us, maintaining that rules-based order, incredibly important. But that does mean that we've got a job to do domestically as well. APEC nations in particular have been discussing for a couple of years now, how do we create greater inclusion and prosperity from our trade agendas? How do we ensure that more and more people benefit from trade? Because we have seen, I think, in some corners of the world, a bit of a pushback domestically from people who don't see those benefits, who see the cost of globalisation to them. We're trying to rebuild that mandate through a trade for all agenda. And really, I'm just simply trying to promote that if we follow a rules-based order, follow the trade rules we've agreed to and expand those trade options, but take upon ourselves the domestic responsibility to see everyone's well-being lifted, then that's a recipe for success.
Did you manage to convince the U.S. to make an exemption when it comes to steel and aluminum?
Steel and aluminum, yeah.
That's a big issue.
I'm such a broken record on it, and I use every opportunity I have to raise it. Because, of course, there's been raised by the United States the issue of those who are in trade deficit or surplus, and we happen to be one of those countries where the United States does well in their trade with us. And so, I did raise it, but it was a conversation amongst many other things.
Did you bring up the issue of CPTPP? I mean, did you try to convince the U.S. to rejoin the trade?
When it came to CPTPP, for me, it's about actually talking about the journey that we went on. Actually, there was a view within our domestic population that CPTPP was a very different trade agreement. There were bits of it that we had concerns about. When we took office, we came in with a view that we would do our best to rebalance the agreement, and we reached a place where we were happy with that rebalancing. But off the back,
it's a different deal without the U.S.
It is a different deal without the U.S. And if they chose to re-enter, there would be a negotiation off the back of that.
Do you get a sense that the U.S. may be interested at some point to rejoin CPTPP?
That wasn't the nature of my conversation. I haven't seen anything that really suggests that. I do still see a focus from them on bilateral trade rather than multilateral trade agreements. But regardless, from our perspective, multilateral works for us. When you're a small trading nation, that's often how you reap the big rewards.